Welcome to another installment in our series, Skincare Science, where we look at popular topics in the skin space and help you with the latest information that is backed by science. Today, we're going to be talking about vitamin A, busting myths around retinol, and talking about retinoate, the ingredient of our new Skin Restore Serum. As usual, we have my partner, Dr. Greg McGuire, and today we have Christine Preston, who is a clinic owner north of Toronto and is a member of our ambassador program. Christine serves as one of our educators and actually also heads up the tracking of our field testing for our products in our research and development pipeline, and she's doing a superb job at that indeed. So welcome to both of you once again, and let's open up by talking a little bit about the myth of vitamin A as an exfoliant.
Well, vitamin A doesn't have the ability to break down cell bonds. So the glue that kind of holds the skin cells together. So it doesn't actually exfoliate the skin. However, it does induce cell turnover. So Greg, what would you say about that myth?
Yeah, vitamin A helps to enable the cells to turn over. So your keratinocytes in the epidermis are enabled to turn over as they should. If it's normally fed vitamin A and then the vitamin A is eventually turned into retinoic acid, that's one of the keys of inducing cellular turnover. And so what we're doing with our retinoate is inducing the cell turnover directly by accessing the receptor for the retinoids. We're not breaking down, as you said, Christine, the bonds. You can use something like the NeoGenesis salicylic acid to break down those bonds and better enable the sloughing of the skin.
So does a vitamin A need to be stronger for it to be more effective?
No, it doesn't. A typical, prescription retinoids, we hear lots of side effects of, shedding, peeling, redness, erythema. And actually, if we put too much of an active at a higher percentage, too strong on the skin, it can lead to that irritation and those side effects. So using a retinoid, at a lower percentage can be much more beneficial for the skin.
Yeah, and to amplify what Christina's saying, it's this particular retinoid we use. It's a retinoate, and it's like retinoic acid, just a slight modification of the molecule to retinoic acid, which directly binds the retinoid receptors. So it's not something that's sitting around in the skin inducing enzymatic processes and irritation of the skin. This is something at low concentrations, as we use it, goes directly into the skin, directly to the retinoid receptor, and is very efficacious even at low doses. So it's low dose, but very efficacious, very effective.
Interesting. So based on what you're saying, I'm also curious. I know we've had our clinicians talk about photosensitivity with vitamin A. So does vitamin A make the skin more photosensitive?
That's what we are always learning in school. That's what at aesthetic school they teach us, like it's supposed to cause the skin to become more sensitive to the sun. But Greg and I were doing a little, searching and researching the science on this, and it doesn't create minimal erythemic dose. And so it's not going to, if you were to put something like salicylic acid on and go outside, you're going to get more of a burn as a result. But when you're applying vitamin A to the skin, you're not going to burn more severely in the sun without sun protection. So
Yeah, there was a good study on this published in a PubMed peer-reviewed journal. It's by Smith et al. Back in 1999. And they found that the minimal erythema dose for UV was no different for skin that was treated with retinoid versus control skin with no retinoid. So in other words, the UV on the retinoid treated skin did not cause the skin to be photosensitive, did not increase the erythema. So it's truly a myth. It's a very safe product to use and only builds the skin. It's not going to induce erythema inflammation.
Fantastic. I think that's an important clarification. The other thing that people wrote to us about was the questions about the different types of acne, use of vitamin A with the different forms of acne. Can either or both of you speak to that?
yeah, Vitamin A is really important in treating acne because it actually prevents comedone formation in the skin. So essentially, it's a strategy to prevent acne in the first place. And so it's an important strategy for treating all grades of acne.
Yeah, it's good for any sort of inflammatory state, including inflammatory acne, just not the comedonal. So it's been widely used and in clinical studies for different forms of acne. So it's a completely safe and effective product for the different forms of acne.
Interesting. And Greg, if I could bring you back around, I know you spoke a little bit to this before, and Christine might have a comment as well, but the retinoate, you put the retinoate in our product, the Skin Restore Serum. Why did you choose the retinoate? What led to that? Because that seems to be a fairly new innovation in the marketplace.
It is. It's basically the reason why we use that is it's as effective as any other retinoid, including the retinoic acid by prescription, but it's actually less sensitizing, less irritating to the skin than the retinoic acid. So, and it's over the counter. Anyone can buy it. It's not by prescription. And secondly, if you compare it to those retinol products, so there's a lot of retinol products. That's not retinoic acid, it's retinol. Retinol has to be broken down by the process by the skin in order to be effective to hit the retinoid receptor. And so that processing makes the retinol less effective than the retinoate, which directly hits the receptor. And the retinol can also be more irritating. So this is a very effective and much less irritating molecule to use in your vitamin A retinoid product.
Follow up, did the retinols that were used and are still used versus the retinoate, was the retinoate just not available 10 years ago or not discovered at that point in time? Why were there so many retinol products created when retinoate is so much more effective and efficacious?
Retinoate that we use is a newer product, but in the skincare industry, there are just something comes to market, there's a big buzz about it, and people start copying and using that. And so a lot of people just heard about retinol, they started making retinol products, people are buzzing about using it. And if you look at the popular media, there's all these misconceptions about retinol and retinoids, and just people don't understand it well. And it really took Christine and I some time to really dig in to the literature, going back to the original studies, the invention of the different molecules to understand all of the different retinoids that are available. And upon deep research, we chose this new retinoate. Not only is it efficacious, causes less irritation to the skin, but also compared to the retinoic acid, it's less photolabile. So the sun, the UV won't break it down, and it's not as sensitive to oxygen. So it's not going to break down from oxygen exposure. So it's a nice stable molecule. You can put it on even during the day and it's not going to be broken down. We recommend using it at night. But even if you put it on before you go out during for some light duty sunshine, it's going to be fine. It's a really nice, stable product. Also, the retinoate thickens both the dermis and the epidermis. And so over time, if you use it, and these are studies for up to 2 years, if you use the retinoate several times a week for up to 2 years, you're building the dermis, you're building the epidermis. Over time, you're not thinning the skin. There's some stuff out there in the social media saying it might thin the skin. It does not do that. And also the retinoids are antioxidants. So they're very, very important for the skin. They build collagen. The retinoid we use helps to build the collagens and also to prevent the collagens from being degraded, because we inhibit something called MMP. It's matrix metalloproteinase, which breaks down the collagen. So our retinoid builds collagen, produces more collagen, and helps to prevent the collagen that's produced or is there already from being broken down by the MMP. So it's a very, very powerful molecule that we use.
The good news is, like all of our other skincare products, our Skin Restore Serum has a full money back guarantee. So it's going to be interesting to see as people are now testing it in mass. I mean, we've gotten incredible feedback from our clinic work that we've done with it, with our group of clinics. But now as we're getting a lot more traction with the retinoate, it'll be fun to see what kinds of feedback we get. And I do want to tell our audience that this is the place. You can see an email address down below, or you can DM us. We'd love to visit on some of your questions. We've got people asking us more and more questions all the time. We pull together the experts, Dr. McGuire, always at the helm, of course, of this, and then featuring amazing clinicians like Christine. So we welcome any additional questions you all have and look forward to sharing more discussions with you in the future.